comes back to win it. 13-10.
Raiola, well, that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? Empty. Smothers over the middle. Incomplete. Minnesota rushes 4. Armstrong looking, and now lobs it downfield, and a leaping catch made. Oh, the ball's out. It's picked up by Minnesota.
Those 4 clips you have just witnessed were, in my opinion, one of the 4 worst game-losing drives that Nebraska just was able to compile against Minnesota, or game stealing also, because I guess in the first one last year when we lost 6-24, we weren't going to win that game even if we had scored on that possession. In today's video, I wanted to talk about why has Nebraska lost so many times to the Minnesota Golden Gophers? 6 times straight, to be precise. A team that we once beat 83-14 and had a 16-game winning streak that ended right here in 2013. Why? And then the latter half of this video is going to be, what does Nebraska need to do? So without any further delay, let's get straight to it. So first, let's take it year by year and see what Nebraska was able to do to either beat Minnesota or what they did to lose. So in 2011, Nebraska, and actually 2012 too, Nebraska was just a much better team than Minnesota. And so Nebraska dominated both sides of the ball, every aspect of the ball, and Minnesota is just worse, and that's all there is to it. 2013, though, the first loss, and that snapped that 16-game winning streak, Nebraska, with the injured Taylor Martinez, and also, a terrible run game, was the reason why Nebraska lost to Minnesota, because of the facts that literally Nebraska just, Taylor Martinez, who usually, and as we saw in the first 2 matchups against Minnesota, was very good against them, and would have been good, because he had turf toe, could only pass 439 yards, and he only rushed for like 16 yards, way below his usual standard. Then our defense couldn't do anything either, so both sides of the ball struggled. Whereas Abdullah did actually rush 465, that wasn't enough, and they absolutely upset us, and that was a terrible game for Nebraska. And honestly, a bad loss for Pelini, because he was on the hot seat at the time, but it wouldn't have mattered because he got fired anyway. 2014, this game is, this one made me too mad, and it was one that we literally saw on those clips I just showed. And literally, Nebraska, the passing wasn't bad for Nebraska. It was literally the reason why we lost is because we gave 416 yards to Minnesota, but not only that, but 281 rushing yards and 111 rushing yards to their, no offense, fat 240-pound Mitch Leidner, who somehow was able to just rush it all over. And he's a sophomore too. On the road, somehow was able to waddle his way around, and they gashed a run game. The left side, schematically, in that year, in that game, and then Wisconsin was just, absolutely terrible at filling in the gap. It wasn't because of size or anything, in my opinion. It was just because the gaps of the linebackers weren't doing their jobs. They were all expecting like a pass or whatever, and they just let him run. And he's not a fast guy. Literally, he's not. Mike Riley beat him 2 years in a row. So I can't believe Pelini didn't beat this guy at all. So, yeah, anyway, Nebraska lost to them because we couldn't stop the run, and also we were -2 in the turnover margin and didn't force any turnovers ourselves. And yeah, Nebraska, yeah, just couldn't stop the run. This game, we actually were able to throttle Minnesota because Nebraska literally just on the road, they were able to just bully Minnesota. And just, literally just started, they started off slow, but they were able to just absolutely take care of Minnesota and beat them in kind of every aspect of the ball. That's really all there was to it. This game, now this one was a closer game. The defense really came in clutch to this game for Nebraska because we were able to hold Minnesota to 17 points and didn't let Mitch Leidner just run all over the place. And then also, our offense was able to get themselves set and they were able to rally. And I think, yeah, we were +1 on the turnover margin, so that's good. Oh, and I should mention, at this point, so in 2011 through 2015, Jerry Kill was the head coach until he resigned halfway through 2015. But when Nebraska played Minnesota in 2013 and 2016, it was Tracy Claeys that coached. He was the acting head coach in 2013 and actually was the head coach towards one season in 2016 before he was fired because of that like boycotting thingy, whatever. And then they hired PJ Fleck. I wish they had hired Scott Frost. He would have sucked. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, they hired PJ Fleck, and this is 2017. And so this is our first matchup against PJ Fleck. And we all know PJ Fleck is literally Nebraska's daddy. And it all started in good old 2017 when he absolutely pooped on us 54-21. And they were a 4-5 Minnesota team at that point. And yet we were still like, no, we're gonna lose. And you know what they did? They did. They proved their point that they were not gonna win. They absolutely destroyed us. Oh, in just yard 514 total yards, most of which were on the ground. I mean, look at this. Look at these yardage, like these scores. Demery Croft, and he is their, I believe he's the running back, or no, he's the quarterback. He's their quarterback, running for 183 yards because our defensive line, I think also just mostly schematically, was a joke. I mean, 73 yards, 11 yards. Okay, I guess it isn't so bad for that. Okay, but he got so many runs. The running back, okay. But apparently the reason why our defense was so bad this year is because our strength and conditioning coach didn't have them do like the back squat, so they were kind of weak. They were doing like these different frontal squats, and that really made them just weaker because they couldn't push against big linemen in the Big Ten. And then also Sean Eichhorst, the lawyer, just wanting to keep out of legal trouble, literally just says that he wants them to do rugby style tackling, which you can't do rugby style tackling in the Big Ten. These guys have known how to tackle in like in American football, and that's a fact. Like that's a what's the word? A atomic habit that they've built. And to lose that, oh my word! What about our defense was so bad? I mean, come on, guys. But anyway, not trying to diss on Eichhorst, but that's just a little taste of why Nebraska was so bad that last year under Mike Riley. Then we actually rebounded and beat him 53-28, and it's because our offense really overwhelmed them. We had almost 650 yards of total offense compared to their 474. No defense was played on either side of the ball, in my opinion, because Eric Schnander was never a good defensive coordinator for Nebraska. That's just a fact, and no question about it. And then we lost them, and that's actually the last time we beat Minnesota. They were better than us in every aspect in this game, and yeah, they were just pretty good that year. This game was actually sickening because literally they were out for 3 weeks and we're missing 33 players. And they, yeah, literally, like the headline says, stun the Huskers 24-17 after the layoff. The defense didn't help, giving up 387 yards, and the turnovers on the offense didn't help, giving up 2 turnovers. I mean, this just proves the point. Like Scott Frost was not ready to be a game manager, like a head coach. He just wasn't. He was such an undisciplined coach. Like it's not even funny. Like sometimes Nebraska looked like a joke out there. They weren't fun to watch. Matt Rule at least has proven that he can build programs at a lower level. Temple, Big 12, and he's learning that the Big 10 is tough. And I mean, at least he's learning and he's actually firing assistants that aren't good, unlike Scott Frost. No wonder why he didn't prove it all under him. Anyway, I digress. Lost them 23-30 in 2021 on the road. I mean, giving up almost 400 yards of offense isn't ideal if you want to beat a team like Minnesota. 30 points isn't either. Now, they weren't a bad team. I'm not saying that, but still, Nebraska shouldn't just choke against teams like this. Just saying. And then, I mean, yeah, 2 turnovers. Actually, on Minnesota, we did win the turnover margins. The turnovers weren't the problem in this game, just defense, really. And also, special teams are awful. Connor Culp, right here, not trying to diss on this guy. Like, this is just the facts. I'm calling them as they are. He, statistically, and also just from people watching the game, Connor Culp was one of the worst special teams, or Nebraska place kicker on that special teams in the history of Nebraska. There's just no way to say it. He was so bad. Like, he would miss extra points on a daily basis. Like, I think I guess he made most of those. There was a game where he missed more PATs than he did making, which is crazy, or that he didn't make, which is crazy to me. This game, I mean, Nebraska I mean, you might just say Minnesota wasn't getting their engines going, but they had their starting quarterback in Tanner Morgan, and yet he goes down with an injury, and they bring in freshman Ethan Kaliak-Manis, and then he somehow is like that momentum swinger, and they go from being in the hole by 10 to coming back with the help of Mohamed Ibrahim, and also 300 yards, too many rushing yards that I care to count, to have Nebraska just, choke. Not surprising, right? Because Nebraska also at this point, I mean, they're fresh off Scott Frost firing, excuse me, and so like they let Minnesota score once and the game was already over because Nebraska, literally the psychology in the game, like they just gave up. Like literally that's why we lost to Iowa in 2021, only a year before. This game right here stunk. Nebraska literally had the game in the bag. Nebraska, like, there's no way to say it. Nebraska had the game in the bag. The game was done. And let me tell you why. You ready? Nebraska was up 10-3 with under 5 minutes to go. And we're using Anthony Grant, who was notorious for fumbles and fall ball. And we still decided to use him over Gabe Irvin or even Ramiro Johnson or Emmett Johnson. And you know what he does? Well, you guessed it. He fumbled it. And they scored on a 4th and 10. And actually, the previous play, Gifford should have had that interception. But it doesn't matter. The defense played great, holding them to 3 points, despite an offense that was plagued by 4 turnovers. Absolutely crazy. And also, penalties didn't help either. And then, I mean, we had more yardage than them. We should have beaten them. It was a very low yardage game for both teams. But man, oh man, did Nebraska stink at just closing out the game. Because Nebraska, their defense was not the problem in this game. It was turnovers done. That's it. This game, trenches, couldn't stop the run was part of it. I mean, the score looks like it was just because of, bad or good or just bad sacks. No turnovers, so that wasn't the problem. But yeah, like I said, 9 sacks is gonna do it. And then also, I mean, 339 yards, that's not too bad. But I mean, once again, they're just doing runs they're slow, clock consuming runs that PJ Fleck likes to do. That's his motto, not quick strike, Melvin Gordon style runs. So, yeah, that's why. And then Nebraska, I mean, look at that. 213 total yards. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. So, yeah. Anyway, so based on these games that I've revisited, Nebraska's lost to Minnesota to a combination of just a few simple factors. And I'm talking about like the ones where we could have won but didn't. In the 2019 one, I'm not going to hold against them. I mean, Minnesota is a pretty darn good team that year. But Nebraska lost because they just turnovers. They didn't win the turnover battle. They couldn't stop the run, and they couldn't win in the trenches. That, to me, was just the biggest thing about it. They couldn't stop the run. They just could not win in the trenches, and they couldn't win the turnover battle. It's simple as that. And literally, Nebraska, in this matchup right here, we didn't have a single explosive playmaker. No, we didn't. Jeff Sims was terrible. I mean, Alex Bullock, he's literally at SDSU, or he was, and I think he graduated. So the problem with Nebraska was not their explosive playmaking or not their execution on offense. It was more so their turnovers. Because Minnesota is not a stingy defense like Iowa is. They are a team that just beats Nebraska. Simple as that. And they just have a number. PJ Fleck is Nebraska's daddy. That's all there is to it. Like, it's really annoying. It's like he just plays up just to beat us and then sucks against everyone else. I mean, literally, they played like absolute bums against Iowa. They barely beat Purdue. They barely beat Rutgers. All of them were at home. They barely beat Wisconsin. They lost to Northwestern, who we beat. So, like, they play like jokesters against everyone else, but they play up against us. It's just dumb. But Nebraska should actually look at this game as a game that they should play up to for once. I think they kind of looked at this game as a win, and Minnesota's like, we're going to show you wrong. And they did. So, now let's get to the second half of this video, which is, what does Nebraska need to do to beat Minnesota? Well, okay, so let's look at the wins or the times when we beat Minnesota and see what we did. Now, 2011 or 2011, 2012, those ones, Nebraska was just very dominant. Minnesota was weak, so there was no way they didn't have a fighting chance. So I'm not gonna really talk about those ones. The 2015, now this one's a little interesting, and even the 2018, in my opinion, they and actually 2017 too. I mean, Nebraska, they had the offensive capabilities, explosive playmakers, but they also were able to win in the trenches. And actually, I'll just use the first two wins we had against them before we lost to them. I mean, Nebraska won in the trenches. It's as simple as that. Nebraska won in the trenches in all of these wins. They did. They purely did. And in terms of turnovers, I mean, Nebraska sometimes was iffy on turnovers when Pelini. But I mean, like right here, I mean, they won the turnover margin. They were 500 in the turnover margin, equal. So that didn't really matter so much. But I mean, they were able to win in the trenches. And I mean, they were able to. I mean, also they were able to win the turnover margin usually, and they were also able to win the trenches. They were also able to stop the run. Excuse me. That's what they were able to do because that's Minnesota's bread and butter. That's Minnesota's bread and butter. If they can't run the ball down your throat, they're gonna lose 9 out of 10 times. And I guess that one time where they didn't run the ball, they beat us. But that's because of turnovers. This matchup right here was only because of turnovers. Nebraska's defense was stout on the run. It was. It's the only truth. And look at this. The leading rusher was 41 yards. That's junk. Like, they held their entire offense to 251 yards. And most of their offense came from, nearly 200 of the rushing yards came from the run. And so if you do that math, that's only 55 yards from the run. Yes, that is 55 yards from the run. So that's just an idea that Nebraska's defense was not the problem in this game. Because if stop the run is definitely what they're able to do. I mean, let's go to the 2016 one, or right here. Actually, even this one. I mean, their leading rusher, 25 yards. We were able to kind of, breeze by that Minnesota because we were able to stop the run. These matchups, 177 total yards. So the leading rusher had what? 79 yards? Yeah, come on. That's absolute buns. Yeah, 77 yards. Oh, yeah, I think I actually misread this. 26 yards. That's a joke. An absolute joke. Minnesota was trash. There's no other way to put it. This one. I mean, we were able to stop the rushing game. That's what really helped. Because if Minnesota's forced to pass, they're not going to do well. We see it here. I mean, like, they didn't do well. I mean, 100 yards is okay passing, but still, like, you see what I'm saying. Like, go to this one. Now, this game's a little different because Nebraska didn't play defense so well, but they were still able to stop the run in a degree enough where they didn't just keep scoring them enough, and a lot. They were forced to pass more than they did run. I mean, we see that here. So when Minnesota's forced to pass, they don't do well. That's the thing we see again and again and again. That's why Iowa always throttles them, because they can only run the ball. They can only run the ball. So what does Nebraska need to do? By now, I think you've realized it. They just need to stop the run. That's number one. Stop the run. And then number two, more importantly, they need to win the turnover battle. They do. I mean, this game's, if those turnovers right there had not happened, Nebraska would have easily won that game. Matt Rule would not have a 500 record. Then number three, win the trenches. This loss would not have happened. It's like a game of whack-a-mole, is what it is. Every time Nebraska plays Minnesota, it seems like it's always something different. But usually there is an underlying common denominator, but it is kind of like whack-a-mole. And you see what I'm saying. Like, Nebraska should never have lost to Minnesota, like, in this fashion. I mean, they may be competitively, but still not in this fashion. I mean, you go to this game, they couldn't stop the run. This game couldn't stop the run. This game couldn't stop the run. You get the pattern, okay? This game, the run, I don't even think they knew what the word "stop the run" meant in this game. Like, they were absolutely terrible. So you guys get what I'm saying. Like, literally, it's simple. Nebraska needs to do those three things. And I think next time when we play Minnesota, which I think will be at home. No, it will be, because that will be in 2027 at home. There's no way PJ Fleck comes into Lincoln and beats Nebraska, in my opinion, with Matt Rule year 5 if he's not fired. But that's actually way far away. Actually, there's no way. I shouldn't say that until it happens. Nebraska should have a better chance to beat Minnesota at home in 2027 than we did, 2025. But Nebraska needs to, I'll say them again, stop the run, win in the trenches, and win the turnover battle. They do those three things. Considering we need explosive playmakers. We see it in 2023. We see it in, we see it in, 2015, Mike Riley, able to get a win over them. We absolutely throttled them. Now, we did have Terrell Newby, but you see it in particularly the 2023 matchup. We don't need explosive playmakers to beat them. If you have a stout defense and you can stop the run, there's no way Minnesota beats you because they're not going to hurt you throwing over the top of the defense, taking the top off. Like, they're not going to do that. They're a terrible pass team. We see that. They're not. They passed it 44 times for 196 yards. I don't know what that math is, but that does not sound like a very good average to me. Anyway, that is it for me today, guys. I will see you in the next one, and until next time, go Big Red, and go Matt Rule.